Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the day three of Margadarshi, keeping pace with the future of management. Today, we are going to discuss about the topic artificial intelligence applications in business finance. Today, we have our speaker, Dr. Sendil Kumar, Associate Professor, Amrita School of Business, Coimbatore. So, about Dr. Sendil, he has earned his PhD in management from Anna University. His doctoral thesis in finance received the Best Management PhD Thesis Award from Coimbatore Management Association. He has 20 years of academic experience in finance and accounting domain. And also he has coordinated management development programs, guest lectures, and faculty development programs on contemporary issues in finance. In his previous academic tenure, he was engaged in a finance consultancy for a manufacturing company with a turnover of 25 crores. He served as a member in the MBA Board of Studies of four autonomous institutions in Tamil Nadu. He is a member of Coimbatore Management Association and the Indian Economic Society. So I welcome Dr. Sendil Kumar sir. Over to you.
So namaskar, everyone. Namaskar. So indeed, it's my pleasure to address the audience through Amrita School of Business for a topic which is very relevant in the business scenario today. And my thanks to all the organizing team members and also the university for giving me an opportunity to talk on this topic. So I'm for a topic which is titled as Artificial Intelligence Applications in Business Finance. And my session will be into three parts. There is the context, and then we will have a discussion on the applications, and then we will discuss on the challenges. So these are the main discussion points as far as the session is concerned. So first, what do we mean by artificial intelligence? So any popular explanation of this concept of artificial intelligence can be very easily explained as any human-like intelligence which is exhibited by a computer or a robot or other machine applications. So if that is the case, how do we empower the computer? So how do we empower the computer to think like a human? So that is where the focus on artificial intelligence applications are, to speak and think and decide like humans. So that is something very interesting because the human behavior is so dynamic that it is quite difficult to imitate each time. And given that, if you look at the IBM's definition, perhaps why we choose IBM as a benchmark for defining AI is that, of course, IBM's legacy in terms of the computer technology is, well known. So therefore, let's look at the very extensive definition given by IBM on artificial intelligence. It is the ability of a computer or a machine to mimic the capabilities of the human mind, learning from examples and experiences, and as well as recognizing the objects. So it is where the machine vision control systems come into the picture. And then understanding and responding to languages. So this is where the language processing capabilities come into the picture, and thereby make decisions, solving the problems, and of course, combining these aspects, right, and other capabilities to perform the functions which, of course, a human might perform. So I think this is by far a very elaborate explanation or a definition about what we call it as the artificial intelligence. So going forward with this understanding on artificial intelligence, Let's also look at in what way this artificial intelligence can help us through in business and as well as in personal life. But before that, we will also see like why the artificial intelligence has got so much prominence in the recent decade, particularly in the last, I would say, half of the decade, last 5 years or to 6 years. The prominence of artificial intelligence is so profound that any newspaper today, any news media today, definitely will spell this word artificial intelligence in one form or another form every 1 hour. So literally, like, it is so prominent. Why? One is it is empowered through, of course, advances in computer vision. So many of the technology or otherwise many of the devices today, right, are all connected with the IoT, are also connected with the large cloud. So if you're mostly working on a cloud-based platform, therefore the advantage is you have huge data, right? So the large data that is gathered and how it is put into use. Now, when it comes to the data gathering, it is both in terms of vision as well as in terms of voice, right? And also in terms of text. So therefore, the advances in the computer vision as well as the advances in the language and the processing and the generation of the auto text, right? Along with the machine's ability to translate the language into a common language or into a machine language and processing it. All these things have empowered, right, the capabilities for the computer systems to analyze massive data sets, right? So how is it possible? One is, of course, data has become, I would say, the value of data has increased, but processing the data has become, easy and as well as cheaper right now, right? With the advancement in the processing power, as well as the techniques that are available in the machine learning, right? So given that, right? So how is that going to benefit the businesses, right? So therefore, which are the industries that are going very high in terms of AI spending? So those things we'll discuss in the further slides. So going further, there are two major trends, right? Particularly in finance, since this topic today is more focusing on finance also, right? In business and finance. So two major trends are by and large revolutionizing the finance domain today. One is, of course, the artificial intelligence techniques and the possible use of the cryptographic tools with reference to blockchain technology. So maybe some quotes like given by the World Economic Forum and as well as Accenture and PricewaterhouseCoopers. So it clearly shows, how significant these buzzwords are, the artificial intelligence and blockchain, or in fact among the 7 major technologies that can reshape the global economy. So to that extent, it is not only for India, even for the entire, the global landscape. The AI and blockchain could be a game changer, and among these 7 major technologies. So, and of course, as far as Indian economy is concerned, so where we still have the $5 trillion dollar economy dream. So, therefore, AI implementation could possibly give India an advantage of, generating around $1 trillion to add to it by 2035. That is again the question. Right. Of course, again, the 36% of the Indian financial institutions, by far in one way or other way, have in fact invested in the AI technologies. So AI is something which we are going to regularly use further to refer the artificial intelligence. Right. And there is only a distinction now where the businesses in India have understood the need for AI, and many financial institutions have also understood the need for AI, and therefore there is only 2 classes now: one who have already invested, and the one who is beginning to invest. So therefore, the one who is not ready to invest is very, minuscule percentage as far as the Indian financial institutions are concerned. So further, we will, also talk about how much is being spent and what is the potential spend as far as the artificial intelligence in the business as far as India is concerned. So, which of course, you can see that the artificial intelligence spending in India is expected to grow. From $397 million in 2019, it is expected to go as high as $880.5 million in 2023. So which means now we are talking at a compound annual growth rate year on year, and as well as the compound annual growth rate of around 30.8%. So which is phenomenally big, right? So which means this gives a huge potential for both the businesses that are investing in AI as well as for the businesses that are going to serve, right, that or provide the AI solutions for the for the companies that are making investments. So which means, of course, being AI, a recent phenomenon in the recent years, such a proliferation. There are many startups that are coming up in India which provide, right, the ecosystem for implementing the AI solutions in businesses across the globe and as far as India is also concerned. So therefore, the point is, can AI be a kind of flashy word? Can it be a kind of a sort of a flashy word that every business used to pronounce now, right? No, because of course, your business plan, right, has to closely, align with the AI spending, or otherwise your AI spending should be in line with what is your business plan. So if AI is being artificially integrated into your business process, then it will not work. So there has to be a natural integration of AI into your, business processes. So therefore, the point is around the 35-7%, right? Around 37 or literally one third of the AI spending, right, by Indian companies. Mostly it is done in the BFSI, that is banking, financial services, and manufacturing sector. So these two sectors in India are, the largest users of the artificial intelligence applications. And around 60% of the AI applications will go completely cloud-based by 2024. This is again another, projection that is done, right, globally. So which means that, when it is going to be a cloud-based AI, then accessibility will not be a problem. As far as also the hardware issues also will not be a major bottleneck when it is going to be a cloud-based one. And by 2023, it is also projected that the Indian AI spending is expected to see a CAGR of 30.8%, which is in line with the international spending. And of course, all these estimates, we have different agencies that are giving up, and one is the IDC on the AI spending forecast. And now, when it comes to the government, right, of course, government of India has also realized this particular need. And if you see the speech given by the finance minister of India, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, right, in the Union Budget 2022, it is put up very clearly, right? So the government here, they are planning to promote, right, both the AI and as well as the drone technology through the project. You can say like the Drone Shakti project. Right, so they are going to modernize and as well as streamline the processes, right? So the major focus, the priority sectors as of now for the AI and drone investments by Government of India will be into the education, banking, transport, and infrastructure. So they have a good potential for deployment of the AI solutions, right? And of course, when government puts up its weight behind these sectors of AI spending, and they are also, going to go big on the, the drone services, where the government is also, thinking of the drone service, right? Drone, like the software as service, or drone, software available at service. Likewise, it is also now proposed for the drone available at service. So if that is going to be the case in the future, then you can understand like what kind of applications it can bring in. Maybe in agriculture, right? So you can see like a lot of drones being used for, even it can support, right, many of the agri solutions like manuring, right? Also, it can check the quality of the crops, right? Or the supervision of large, vast tracts of land, right? Surveying of the land tracts. All these things are possible in agriculture, right? So likewise, all those sectors which have been, traditionally left untouched by the modern technology, right, to the grassroots level, now could be enhanced once these, ideas are being put through. Of course, this may not happen the year next, but still, if government starts, focusing on these areas in the coming years, I'm sure in another 5 years, you can see there is a, proliferation to the grassroots level, right, because of the AI applications. So now going further, as far as, the market size is concerned, if you look at the AI spending with respect to the Indian, sector, we can see like the larger, if you just look at the chart here, you can see like large market size companies, right, which invest in the IT. You can see most of them in the MNC IT companies, and from the tech sector and as well as from the electronics sector. And the domestic IT companies are also, I mean, following the lead. I mean, with there are such and such $1 million being invested. So therefore, the idea here is that still, I mean, when it comes to the other sectors or other areas like e-commerce or I mean the boutique AI, right, and the PSUs, I mean, sectors are concerned, right? So there is a good scope for further investment, right? And as well as what we are seeing now as spending, right, in terms of the market size of these companies who are spending in AI, I'm sure it is expected to grow over time, right? And when the demand and supply both are met, right, with the use cases in AI, you will see these numbers are going to go up in the years to come. So further, so what is, I mean, I also want to add on another, I mean, anecdote here in terms of the power sector scope of AI spending, right? So, I mean, this is one issue as far as the Indian power sector very acutely is concerned. Why? Because we have the, loss in the power sector mainly because of many other factors, but mainly because of the loss in the transmission and distribution, which we say like a T&D. So what is the average loss we incur? It is around, in an average, it is around 20%. And it's also, I mean, maxing out in the range of 40 to 50%, meaning half of the electricity what we produce is being lost in the transmission and distribution, right? But whereas the global average of loss is only 4 to 6%. So now, therefore, these, the DISCOM, that is the distribution companies in the electricity, power generation and the distribution, they can actually apply the AI in terms of reducing this transmission and distribution losses in Indian power sector. So you can understand to what extent this could bring, development, and as well as the saved power can be used well, right? And I'm sure India is a power-hungry country, so be any growing nation. So therefore, the government has understood this need, and in one way, if you look at the RAC Limited, and they have, in collaboration with IIT Bombay, they are now coming out with AI-based solutions, right, in partnering with the other tech startups in India. Around 3.03 trillion crores of rupees corpus is there, right, to be spent over a period of time. So perhaps in the time to come, you can also expect such, benefits to come up in the power sector. Why? Because Indian power sector, particularly in the distribution side, right, is facing huge losses. So therefore, such financial losses can be reduced once AI solutions are put into effective use. So therefore, in line with what we discussed, like the artificial intelligence uses, then the application of the cryptographic tools, particularly with reference to blockchain, is also gaining momentum. So a brief note on the blockchain is that blockchain is basically a decentralized network, right? So here again, blockchain is basically a decentralized network of computers, of course, that records and stores the data to display a chronological series of events on a transparent and immutable ledger system. So if this is the case, then it can radically redefine the way in which the transactions are being done in the financial services industry as well as in the banking industry. And it can completely redefine the way how the business transactions are initiated and, of course, regulated. So thereby, the trust and identity all are being supported here through the blockchain. So given that, of course, in the current budget also, there has been references where the land management and registration of land, all these things are going to be now connected through the centralized system. So, and of course, there are some state governments which have also gone proactive in terms of bringing the blockchain in the land record management system. So you can understand the use cases for blockchain need not be only with reference to the cryptocurrencies in the asset market, but also it is being put into multiple areas in logistics, in land management, right, in insurance, etc. So therefore, briefly, in additional point, we can also know like what are the different types we are actually looking at. The public blockchain, right? There are three types basically of blockchain. The very first type of blockchain is the public blockchain, right? And the other one is permissioned blockchain, and the third one is private blockchain. So when I talk about public blockchain, here, of course, the Bitcoin is the as a best example for a public blockchain where anyone can read and as well as write on this platform, provided if they show the POC, that is POW, sorry, the proof of work rather than proof of concept. So, but again, there is also another system where it is, permissioned blockchain, right? So where only selective people can be participating in that. So selective transparency, only selective nodes, right? Or people involved are very selective, and it is not open to the public, system. So mostly the, in the international trade, right, the letter of credit or the international financing is done through this permissioned blockchain. And that is the trade finance in the international businesses. They follow this particular permission blockchain. So example is Quorum, that is JP Morgan's enterprise banking platform. So they use the permission blockchain to issue the LCs, the letter of credits, to their clients who involve in international trade. So also you have something even more restricted, which is private blockchain, where only very selective and chosen players who are part of a particular ecosystem can only be participating in that network, right? So, which is more of a closed loop rather than the open loop like a public blockchain. So, in fact, Indian companies like the Bajaj Auto, right? So the Bajaj Group, particularly Bajaj Auto and Bajaj Finance, so they have in fact invoked the private blockchain mechanism where their vendor management is being connected through the blockchain, that is private blockchain. So, in fact, their supply chain network is also now connected to the private blockchain, where the funding and as well as the information transmission, all these things are enabled through this technology. So, in one way, it is efficient, and also it is going to be providing further leveraging benefits, right, in terms of managing their working capital. So, going with that, we should also be, concerned about what this could provide for the financial services sector. So to refer, you can also look at the fintech, right? So in essence, the fintech, you can have a very lengthy discussion, but I like to keep it short in terms of fintech. So it is where you integrate the technology and with the delivery, where you're bringing in the technology in terms of the design and as well as delivery of the financial services. That's where the fintech helps in. So the ultimate beneficiary is the consumer, who actually, who actually benefits from a tech-savvy service. So that drastically reduces the time required to access that service, and of course, ease of use is a major benefit. And also, the cost of transaction can also be brought down drastically. So it reduces the cost, it also increases the efficiency, and also it builds you a clientele, right? But the point is still the question now before the businesses is, what is the regulatory scenario, right? In terms of the information security and also in terms of the regulatory aspect, right? So, in fact, the recent moves of the government of India, in fact, is also towards regulating this, the blockchain application in the financial markets. And so much awaited regulation on this blockchain, right, and cryptographic assets is expected soon. But the point is, at present, the point is like there has been more, concern about the usage of these cryptographic assets, right, and the way it is being used. So there is a much interest shown by young investors in the Indian market, Indian stock market. But the point is, it also raises the volatility when more investors are present, right, who may or may not participate in the crypto assets, right, with or without much information. So therefore, lack of information or a lack of clear information and ignorance of the cryptographic assets, right, is a major problem right now in the Indian finance sector, right? because not everyone is aware of what is the underlying technology behind the Bitcoin or behind the cryptocurrencies. But they are mostly moved by the kind of shepherd mentality and also moved by the kind of euphoria that is being going on in the crypto markets. And based on that, if someone is investing, that might lead to a kind of bubble. When it is burst, obviously, most of the small investor savings or investments in the markets might explode. So that is where the government's concern is. And of course, now being the time for regulating it, the first step is now the income from this particular transaction, blockchain, cryptographic investments. That is particularly the investment in cryptocurrencies. Crypto assets are being taxed now, and of course, the losses that arise out of the investments cannot be set aside in the income tax filing. So all these things meant one thing, that the government is not so favorably supporting the investment in crypto assets in India at this moment. But possibly in the future, when proper regulations are put in place, we are sure we can expect, nurturing of those investments. Besides, India itself coming up is, besides that, RBI is also going to issue the central bank, cryptocurrency or central bank backed, digital currencies. But we need to still see, wait and watch what is going to be its reception as far as in India is concerned. But also to add on, we can say the ecosystem in Indian startups, economy is growing up like anything as far as the AI is concerned. So, around 188 plus, but possibly by the time I'm talking, the numbers would have also increased. So, are right now in India. And of course, the investments are also supported by a robust, venture capital system, right, which also supports more innovation. And many of the companies, they do have their own homegrown, development cells which help out in the AI implementation. So what is that then in the banking? Of course, I'm just keeping it, short with respect to the banking part, but there is much more to apply when it comes to the AI applications in banking. So particularly with reference to Canara Bank, right? So the Mitra and Candy robots, right? So in terms of the AI application and as well as the chatbots, right? So they are, there are very many applications now. Each bank, irrespective whether they are public or private, is now trying upon to bring in the AI solutions in the banking. So traditionally, as a customer to the bank, I might have experienced a level of service, right? But now the quality of service is expected to boost with the use cases in AI. And what are the broader applications in finance? So mostly it is being used in risk assessment, one, and of course in fraud detection and management. And AI is also used in the financial advisory services and in trading and as well as in managing the finances of businesses. So managing the finances of businesses, I told the Bajaj Auto and as well as the Bajaj Finance, bringing in the blockchain into their supply chain vendor management system. So therefore, I would like to draw your attention towards one particular example, which possibly could help us in understanding how AI could, help in enhancing the quality of service as well as the speed which the service can be delivered. The example what I'm going to bring in is Tala, right? So I hope you would have heard about, this service called Tala. Tala is basically, in a startup, right? Of course, it's the startup founder is from India. So it is basically a PayPal-backed digital lending platform, right? And it has larger presence in many of the emerging markets like Kenya, then Uganda, and different other African countries. And now it is also into India. So what is the catch about these digital lending platform? Because you have many, right? But the point is you will be sanctioned a loan. Either it will be sanctioned or you'll be rejected it just within 1 minute, right? So it's a 1 minute decision making is a key, catch from this particular digital lending platform, right? So but the point is you need to apply through your mobile, right? It's not like the regular application form. So as a regular applicant for a loan with the bank, it might be a very cumbersome process. And it might also take some time for me to know whether my loan has been sanctioned or not. But how come Tala is able to take such a short time in deciding whether to offer you a loan or not, right? So the catch is AI, right, and machine learning. So using your phone, Tala will be able to find out what is your, what is your nature, right? And perhaps will you be able to promptly make the loan payment or not? Whether you will be able to promptly make the interest payments, and particularly will you be repaying the principal, right? So therefore, is there any credit default risk associated with your loan request? That Tala will be able to know in a quick time and is able to decide whether to offer the loan to you or not, right? So how? Of course, you have to apply. You have to download the app, right, from the App Store or from the Play Store. From the Play Store. But the point is, it asks for permissions, right? So you are giving the permissions to access the location as well as text and other related services, right? So the point is, with the data, right, which is collected from all its app users, Tala is able to quickly, in no time, is able to, model the likelihood of a credit default, by you. So, which means it's a heavy application, usage of the AI and as well as machine learning in deciding whether a customer will turn to be good or bad if a loan is provided to them, right? How? Basically, it looks at the psychometric data and as well as the behavioral biases of the applicant, right? So how? Of course, through the contacts, right? You might have saved the contacts, and through that, it will be, also able to locate who are the contacts of you, and are they the borrowers of from with Tala, and what is their credit history, and particularly with Tala, and have they promptly been paying the loan with Tala, like that. So through the contacts, the existing borrowers of Tala also can be identified. And also the call history, right? So that also speaks about the social network. How networked are you socially, and as well as the way you save the contact. So it will be quite interesting to know, like the way you save the contacts, whether it is very clandestine or is it quite elaborate, right? So that also will speak about. So what kind of nature this person is according to Tala, and of course the location tracker also supports in terms of knowing where you are and where you're currently there. So how much time you spend in a particular place, like that, and whether the phone is also being docile, or is it like frequently being moved or not. So in what way it is going to help? Probably it will be able to understand your your physical location, and as well as whether you're employed or not, right? And of course, the caveat is when you're in a lockdown, of course, even the employed people used to stay in a particular place, so phone movement may be less, and also you will be staying in the same location. But in general, right, the location of you and as well as the phone movement could possibly indicate many of the, much of the information, like, your health status could also be connected to your lack of physical movement, right? So how potential and how vulnerable this person is towards a particular health risk, right? If he's going to stay in one place and not moving anywhere, right? And also what kind of location you are staying. Is it in a posh location, or is it in a different kind of location? So that also adds to the point, right? And also it can look at the behavioral biases, like the behavioral biases in the sense, whenever it has access to text, right? But spoken in a positive note, optimistic way, right? You can also understand what kind of transactions are happening, or what kind of conversations are happening, right? And possibly I have a question, right? Whenever there is a, cash flow into anyone's bank account, at times you receive some marketing messages from different financial institutions, including banks. And in some cases, I also, come to know, like they even get some phone calls whether they are in need of, any investment or deposit opportunities. Or sometimes when they are in a position, or when they are in need of some funds, right? They also get these kind of messages saying like, whether you need a loan or not, and we have a pre-approved loan for you, you can take it. So such messages do come, and at times you also getting some, you also get some marketing calls. So how is it possible, right? The point is, the data is being explored, and possibly with that we are able to understand whether the person is in need of the loan arrangement or not, or whether there is any scope for any surplus funds or not, so that that could be parked in some better investment opportunities. So these things could be well analyzed, and of course, keeping the privacy and information security in mind, right, without abuse of data, with the proper usage. So, behavioral profile also could be mapped together, and with the machine learning applications, this particular service is able to quickly identify what is the probability of default by the applicant, and then accordingly immediately it raises out a flag that either he can be denied a particular loan or he can be granted a particular type of loan. So therefore, you can understand how the time taken for making decision has reduced, and but at the same time you're also keeping in mind certain important factors that will influence your decision. Right. So therefore, as business, right, as a financial service provider here in the digital lending platform, Tala is able to, harness the power of AI and machine learning in terms of decision making, and the ultimate beneficiary is going to be the, customer who is going to get the loan in very short period of time. Right. And of course, this also reduces the I would say the financial risk associated with the digital lending platform. How? Because though you might be making a physical application with the bank, there are chances that you would have hidden some information, right? So from the bank, and because of that hidden information, the bank might not be able to make an appropriate decision, right? Whether to grant a loan or not. But that is reduced in this case now. How? Because of access to your psychometric and the behavioral profile and modeling it into the decision-making engine. Right, Tala is able to identify even the information what you have provided and also the information what likely you could have avoided. Right, so that is what we call it as information asymmetry problems. And at times, after getting the loan, sometimes the people also will be behaving in a very different manner. Right, so which might harm the lender. Right, or the prospect of the lender getting back the principal loan. So to put it in another way, we can call this as a moral hazard, right? So therefore, your act of responsible or irresponsible investing could also end up with the credit default for Tala, right? Or your sedentary lifestyle could also lead into health expenditures, which could reduce the possibility that you will make regular interest payments. So all these things also are understood by this particular app through the profiling and as well as through the AI use cases, right? So therefore, that also reduces the any hidden intentional or unintentional action by the customers, right, or by the applicants, right, which has the potential of risking the money given by Tala to you. So therefore, the moral hazard problem is also reduced in this case because of the usage of AI. So therefore, this has given us an understanding of how far AI can go in a very simple context, right? And the benefits of using it is a better customer service and also the risk, reduction by the business provider, or I would say the business service provider. So in general, when we speak about Tala, which is a genuine one, you also have many of the fraudulent, digital lending platforms, right, which are available in the web, which could potentially be a nuisance at times and also might be risking you to take wrong actions, right? So how to, avoid such false digital lending platforms or mobile apps? So perhaps, RBI, in fact, they have listed up, right, certain platforms which are registered as the P2P, that is peer-to-peer lending platforms, or which are P2P NBFCs. So that list can be found here in this particular link, right? But how to avoid in general, right? When the lender, right, is advising to you that they don't bother about your credit payment history, right? then there is something suspicious. And the second thing is when you're also prompted or pressurized to immediately act upon, right? So that is also slightly suspicious, right, on the service provider. And also when you're visiting their web pages, right, and if it is not secure or if it is erratic, then also there is a possibility of a fraudulent transaction, right? And of course, the lending platform doesn't have any physical address, right? Obviously, that is also something wrong, right? And many a times the terms of lending, if it is not clearly spelled out in terms of what is the loan tenor and what is the rate of interest you have to pay and how this will break down into over periods, if all those information is not explicitly mentioned, then there is always a room for suspicion. So therefore, don't fall prey for any of these kind of fraudulent platforms. So please check this link and find out which are the so who are the service providers who are genuine and registered and as well as authorized by or approved by Reserve Bank of India. So also, if you look at which are the companies that are investing more into AI particularly, and from the financial market space, if someone wants to invest, right? So here is again, a list of companies that are making big investments in AI, and also they are listed in the stock market. So that is something for the financial markets focus, right? So where you can explore the movement of these companies in terms of their stock price. So Tata LSI, then Persistent Systems, Bosch, Kelton Tech, right? Happiest Minds. So these are the companies, right, which are listed, as well as they have good investments in AI, which is completely redefining the way they deal with their customers, right? So that way, you can watch out for these companies to really understand how AI is being harnessed by them and how they are leveraging the AI in terms of transferring the benefits to their customers, and in that process, how they are improving their profitability, right? So also, in connection with the financial markets and AI, it is also shaping how the services are provided in terms of the stock investing particularly. So let's look at one thing, which is what we call it as the robo advisory. So now earlier, now it is mostly advising. Investment advisory services are still, of course, it is connected with the human touch, but many of the private wealth management companies, so they try to involve AI in terms of their investment advisory services. So let's look at what is the landscape of robo advisory systems in India. So when it comes to Indian market, the robo advisory services are very nascent, right? So what do I mean by robo advisory services? Here, the investment advisory system or the stockbroking and investment advisory system is completely automated, right? So you don't get any phone call from anybody to suggest you to buy or sell like that, right? So of course, it is all completely guided by the artificial intelligence. And of course, the support is also linked to the high frequency trading. So in the case of robo advisory landscape, particularly India is concerned, right? The fund based, there is mutual funds based, and as well as equity based, and also the comprehensive wealth service providers. So if you look at these names, right, still when compared to the global counterparts, the Indian robo advisory landscape is, I would say, very small, and of course it is growing. So there are, one is like Quera, right? So that is, around $1.97 billion worth, and Oro Wealth, right? Scriptbox, Goldwise. So you can look at the size of their business, right? So and it is having an asset market share, right? So in fact, if you look at the global benchmarks like Betterment or Wealthfront or Personal Capital, you can look at the amount of money that is being put forth, maybe like $14 billion or $21 billion investment, right? Assets under management, when compared to a few millions of dollars being asset under management from the Indian service provider. So therefore, the point is the use cases of artificial intelligence in the robotic investment advisory, right? Services is still growing. So where the artificial intelligence applications, particularly the machine learning techniques, constantly looks for the investment opportunities, and all the price changes, stock price changes is being very frequently monitored, and any profitable investment opportunity is being immediately spotted, and then the respective spots are identified and converted into trade recommendations, and then it is immediately passed on to the clients who have subscribed for this robo advisory service. Now, in this case, as an investor, I can make decisions on my own, but also I'm supported or I'm guided by machine learning systems. So this is providing a great investment opportunity where you are quickly able to spot the opportunities where a common investor is not able to find it fast enough. And of course, it is also supported with high frequency trading, high support trading. If it is supported, then those trade identifications can be commercialized, or it can be encashed by quickly making the trade through the high frequency systems. So given that, what are the other places in which this is being applied? Particularly the use cases what we see is the credit scoring systems, and fraud detection, risk management, etc. we discussed. So particularly, what are the use cases here? Maybe if you look at the loan frame, right? So it particularly helps in the credit scoring and as well as loan management systems for the SME borrowers specifically and lenders. So therefore, a space where it is mostly focused on the large corporations, here it is on the SMEs. And similarly, capital flow, then Zest Finance, right? So all these, underwrite.ai, right? So which is supporting in terms of the insurance in underwriting businesses, right? And in terms of the fraud detection, where particularly the Vectra, Darktrace, etc., right? And in terms of the risk management, right, you have a Kensho and as well as BSE's own data analytics solution, right? And specifically Nikki.ai or Covout or algo trading in terms of Zerodha or Quanch, right? And as well as the other wallets and as well as the Trim applications, etc., for personalized banking. So you can see like these, applications have found, they have been here for quite some time, but it has, got the acceptance from the investing and as well as public, right, in the recent years, in the last maybe a couple of years only. And that acceptance rate is growing. So this acceptance of technology, right, by the consumers, right, is improving in India as well as across the globe, in a rapid manner. So therefore, in the next 5 years down the line, you will see like lot many applications are coming into the businesses and as well as in the financial markets. So in addition to that, you can also see its application in the currency management also. Say, for example, if you look at the cryptocurrency space, where it is officialized through the XRP cryptocurrency and Ripple, right, where it is many of the international banks, they do participate in the cross-border payment system, where the multilateral netting happens through this Ripple and as well as XRP platforms. And many international banks, right, so they are into the foray. For example, UBS Bank, right, so they have a consortium of all the over-the-counter transactions being supported through their in-house developed system, right? So where the wealth management as well as trade credits are being managed. Now the members of this particular consortium will be able to transact through the blockchain and AI, right, where the clients can process the international transactions seamlessly. And of course, the smart contracts, right? So this is again kind of connected with the fintech. So that's also on the rise, where the clearing and settlement, right? It is being also supported through the blockchain when it comes to the trade clearance mechanism in the stock exchanges. That is, the clearinghouse of the stock exchanges now are trying to implement this blockchain-based and as well as AI-based solutions to quickly spot any anomalies in the clearing and settlement. That is, when you buy the share or sell the share, the transaction happens on the background and you get the share or you make the payment, right? But in between, right, it is all the transaction is being processed through the clearing and settlement. And now you can see like many of the stock exchanges have implemented the AI solutions in dealing with it. So that there is a foolproof mechanism, and as well as the service becomes more effective and as well as it becomes more cost effective, right? And in terms of the banking and as well as the trade financing and supply chain financing, right? We see a lot of developments that are being coming up with. So in the sense like we could not completely say like it is free from all these problems. But whenever there is any technology, you do have challenges, right? So what are the challenges that are being put forth by the AI, particularly for the investments in the finance and as well as in the businesses? So one is, of course, particularly with respect to India, lack of, enabling data ecosystems, right? So though we say the data access is becoming cheaper, still acquisition of data and as well as storage of data and retrieval of it is still being a constant challenge. And the other thing is though we are quite ready for, the AI investment, still the research in AI, so that is very minimum. So therefore, what we might be needing is more in what we might be in need of is more investments in research in artificial intelligence. So perhaps, the core focus on AI-based research could also be a solution. And many of the universities are also, like, of course, like Amrita University, right, and Amrita School of Business. So have understood this need and have started to focus more into education, right, with support from AI and digital, solutions, right? So both in terms of offering the courses for students to learn, as well as for the faculty and doctoral research scholars research on AI and its related applications. So, and then, of course, lack of expertise, high-end expertise in AI is also a challenge. So, which also leads to manpower shortage. And of course, the skilled manpower is a major challenge. So, which means for students, it could be a good opportunity to explore into this AI space and develop themselves with proper knowledge and skill sets. And if you already have acquired some skill, it's time for you to upskill yourself or reskill yourself with this, AI background. And of course, as far as the businesses, right? So though we say the businesses have started adapting or have started making investments in AI, still, I would say there is, there are still some companies who are skeptic about their spending, or possibly the rate of, increase in investments in AI is also slow. But again, I'm bringing this again into the notice where the business plan, right, and the AI spending, right, they should be aligned, right? So your AI spending should be supported by your business plan, and your business plan should, of course, have some need to use AI. So these two things should go hand in hand. Then only your investments in AI will give you the return on investment. And still, the gray area is in terms of the regulation, privacy, and as well as information security. And more importantly, when it comes to these kind of intelligence, the intellectual property rights regime, right? IPR regime is very important, right? So therefore, still the IPR protection as far as the AI and its likely implementation has to be strengthened. And also we need a stricter regime, right, to enforce that IPR violations, or I would say to enforce the non-violation of the IPR when it comes to the AI use cases. And of course, we might also, look for some incentivizations, right, in terms of research and as well as adoption of artificial intelligence. So, therefore, what we understand from this is there is, I would say there is a kind of, appeal and finance. And of course, there are some companies which are readily on to harness this particular technology. And of course, they are also getting success in that. But still, there are, some questions which are to be answered, which is like what what we can further explore, right, in terms of AI for the Indian market, right? So one is, of course, what type of applications of AI is being, by and large, used by AI Indian financial sector, right? And are they really providing that benefit? So what is the, kind of benefit we get, right, before, by the time we implement and the time when we have not invested. So the before and after effects, right? And what kind of tangible business benefits, though there are many intangible benefits, but what are the tangible benefits that, Indian companies have achieved or could achieve, right? Or, going to achieve because of this deployment of AI, right? And what kind of opportunities and trends in finance do the Indian business management students, right? They can actually become aware of, or how these the students, right, for either MBA courses or for any courses they look at, how they can develop their expertise and how they can skill themselves to match the industry needs that is exploding like anything over time. As we have seen, the CAGR, the compound annual growth rate, right? The growth rate in the AI applications is growing, right? Adoption is growing around 30%, right? So if that is the case, then there is going to be a huge demand for skilled manpower, right? So whether it is going to be, you who is going to be the kind of skill and resource that will fit into the industry needs for AI, it is all to be seen, right? So that depends on, what kind of education you are going to get in. So, of course, there are many, I would say prominent and proactive universities that are coming up with courses on that, which of course Amrita University and Amrita School of Business is also one among them. So therefore, what we can conclude is definitely AI has got good scope, right, for improving their business opportunities as well as reducing the risks of business, right, operations, right, and as well as help out in the I would say better user experience, right, for the people who are using those services, right. So I end my talk here, right. So if there are any questions, perhaps I'll be happy to answer. So thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for
So
your session.
yeah, over to you, Rohan. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your session. Bye.